In this tutorial, we're going to be drawing some boxes in 1-point perspective. The stuff you're going to need a drawing pencil. In this case, I have a HB drawing pencil, a eraser, and I prefer the white erasers, a ruler, and a decent sheet. Here I have a few sheets, so I'm going to take a couple away, but a decent sheet of white drawing paper. Okay, our first step is we're going to take and we are going to draw a horizon line. A horizon line is a line that meets the sky in the distance. So the best way we're going to do that is, and if you prefer to have the line in the middle of the paper, just take the paper and fold it. And this will give you a then straight line across the paper. And then we can take our pencil and we can draw this line in with our pencil. Then we have to draw a vanishing point. And again, if you prefer it in the middle, just take and fold your paper in half the other direction. And I'm just going to crease right here in the middle and not go all the way across. And you can see here it shows exactly where the center of the paper be. And we only have 1 point because this is 1-point perspective. Okay, then we're going to draw 3 boxes. And we're going to draw 1 box below the horizon line. And it doesn't really matter exactly how big of a box you draw. It doesn't really matter if it's slightly rectangular, we're okay with that. But we're going to try to get it as square as possible. And you can do this with rectangles. Okay, so 1 below the horizon line, 1 on the horizon line. And let's go back here a little ways. So 1 on the horizon line. And again, you want to keep these square. So if the lines aren't parallel to each other, then it's not done quite right. And 1 above the horizon line. Okay, a couple things we're going to talk about. I'm going to turn this paper over and write it down. We're going to talk about a 2D box. And you can see there on the other side I had drawn 3 2D boxes, 1 below, 1 on, and 1 above the horizon line. Now a 2D box is going to be either square or rectangular. Okay, and it's going to have 4 lines. Okay. The other thing is we'll have a 3D box. So we're going to draw a 3D box on a 2D, on a 2-dimensional piece of paper. Okay, and that will have the 4 lines like before. But then you're going to draw lines off of that in order to make it look 3-dimensional. So you end up having, and you could do it again rectangular also. But we'll then have 9 lines, okay? One of the biggest things to keep in mind is parallel. So we will talk about why a parallel is important here as we draw these boxes on the other side. Okay, so again, I had the 3 boxes, 1 below, 1 on, and 1 above the horizon line with a single perspective. Now we're going to draw converging lines. Converging lines means they come together. And of course you're going to guess, hopefully, the point that we come together is the vanishing point at the center. Now this box here that's on the vanishing line, we're going to erase the line that goes through. And the reason we're doing that is we're going to assume we can't see through our box. Okay? So we erase that line, now we have a solid box. Okay, so we're going to take those conversion lines and we're going to go from the corners of each of our box. In this case, we go from these two corners on the outside, so we're going to go from that corner over to our vanishing point. And the top, we're going to do the same thing. Okay, now we could do these back two lines, but you can see if we were to actually draw those in, we'd be going through the face of the box that we just erased the vanishing point line out of, so it would make no sense to put those in. Okay, so we're not going to put lines in from these back side 2 points. All right, we're just going to go from the front two to the vanishing point. Okay, now we'll move on, and we'll move on to the square that is below the vanishing line, and we will take the 1, 2, 3 corners, and we will take those and draw those with converging lines lightly back to the vanishing point. So you can see there the conversion lines are then going to the vanishing point. And if we took this back point and we drew that to the vanishing point, you can see it'll go through our square again, so we are not going to draw those in. Okay, now we'll go up to our box above the vanishing point and we will draw those lines, conversion lines down to the vanishing point, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3 corners. And we can see our back corner will go through our box again, so we won't draw that one in. Now we are going to go back to our box that is on our vanishing line, and we are going to draw a parallel. So remember I said on the back of the sheet, I said parallel was important. So we are going to draw a parallel line for our sides. Okay, so I'm going to go off of this edge, down our conversion lines. I'm going to go down a little ways, I'm going to draw a parallel line. And you could go whatever distance you want here. And I'm just going to pick right here. But I'm going to make sure that this line here is parallel to that line. Parallel meaning they go on and on forever and never touch. Okay? Then you can take your eraser and you can erase your vanishing line. And then we want to erase our conversion lines. Now don't worry about erasing this vanishing line. You can leave that in. Okay, just the conversion lines, we'll get rid of those. And we could come back in here and we could darken up all these lines. You can use a ruler if you want. So then we can see the box. Now, if we are on the vanishing line drawing a box, a 3D box, you can see we see the front and we see one side. Now we will take our box that is below the vanishing line and we'll take the side of our box and we will take our ruler and put it along the left hand side of the box. What we don't want to do is we don't want to tip the ruler as we move it to our left. We want to keep it parallel with the line. So put it parallel with the line, slide over, and you can pick any distance away you want. In this case I'm going to go right about there. So we want to keep this line parallel to that line, okay? And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to bring this top line down the conversion lines, and we want to meet right here where the parallel line meets with the conversion line, okay? And again, the biggest thing is to make sure your ruler isn't wobbling and it's staying parallel. We want to meet right there and draw our line in. And you can see these lines are parallel and these two lines are parallel. And now you've just made a cube. We can go ahead and we can darken up these lines. Okay, and then we'll take our eraser and we will erase the conversion lines. And that allows us to now see our cube. And on our cube we're seeing a front. And since we're below the vanishing line, we're seeing a top. And we're seeing one side. So now you're seeing 3 sides, as opposed to 2 if you're on the vanishing line. So now we will take our square that's above the vanishing line. And I like to go at the bottom line first. And we'll put our ruler parallel with the bottom line. We'll move it down. And again, you can choose as far as you want to go, making it as big as you want. And we'll stop in between the conversion lines, drawing a line. And there's that point where the parallel line meets the conversion line. And then we want to put our ruler against this line over here on the square. We want to slide that out again until it meets that point. And we're keeping these lines parallel, of course. So parallel here, parallel there. Okay, and then we'll take our eraser and we will erase our conversion lines. And you can see our cube above the vanishing point. Excuse me, vanishing line. And again, we see the front. And now we see the bottom because we're above. And one side. So again, we're still seeing three sides, but we're seeing a bottom instead of a top. Okay, now we're going to take and we will draw a box kind of down to the left of our first box that was on the vanishing point. We'll draw a box down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a box that looks like it sits either below or behind the original box that was there. So behind this one. Okay, and we already know that we take these 3 points and we go back to our vanishing point. Not this back one. This one will go through the block and we won't see it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we'll draw these in. Now this line here from this point will hit. Oh, okay, so it doesn't quite hit it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to extend this line up so that we have a better perspective here. Okay, so we're going to extend these up so you get the idea. Make this a little bit more rectangular. Okay, so what we're going to do now when we go from this point, you see it's going to hit this box. We're going to stop right there at the box. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with this back side. Bring it over and we'll stop right at the box there. Okay, and what this is doing is it's making it look like that box is on top of this one. Okay, and then I'm going to take my side of my box, I'm going to draw that in, so I'm going to go parallel with this side here. I'm going to move my ruler over. I'm going to put a line right here. Okay. And then I'd want to go parallel from this line. And if I moved my ruler up and I went to touch this point right here where the parallel line meets the conversion line, you can see my line would go through my box, so I don't do anything with it. And then I can go ahead and I can erase all the conversion lines. And you can see it looks like that box is on top of and in front of that one. Okay, so here we now have a front, side, and you see part of the top right there. Okay, now from this point on, practice drawing boxes to a single perspective point. We'll go into doing double perspective points, and more importantly, from the single perspective point, we'll go into some shading techniques. So that'll be the next video. Thank you for watching.